The Green Room, a dive into the minds of the artist.
Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of The Green Room, the show that gives you the dive into the minds of the artist. I am your host, Cody Denning, and we're coming to you from the Soundwave Music Media headquarters. And today our guest is Pete Dankelson, a 25-year-old American guitarist, motivational speaker, author, and co-founder of the band Pete's Diary. This guy has been busy, but not only has he been busy, he's been thriving and fighting and just going through the gnarliest of things. We're going to talk about it all today on The Green Room, and I'm going to hand it over to you, Pete, man. It's awesome to have you here. Thank you for coming on the show.
Yeah, no, it's good to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
So, dive into your early life and how things were. Take us through pivotal moments of your childhood and kind of what shaped your outlook on music.
Well, I guess kind of a big thing that happened. I was born, when I was born, I was born with a rare medical condition called golden heart syndrome. It can affect a lot of people in a bunch of different ways. But in my case, the thing that people notice immediately is I'm missing my left ear, and I wear a bone anchored hearing aid on my left side. But I've had 38 surgeries so far throughout my life. And a lot of them were when I was younger, but quite a lot of them were craniofacial surgeries. So a lot of it was for my airway, for to help me breathe better because I was born with a small airway.
When you were going through it, how did you I guess what voices may have spoke to you and inspired you to kind of turn that pain and everything into ammo to build rock music, and what inspired you?
Yeah, well, pretty much, especially when going through some of those tougher procedures. My parents growing up, they've always said, it was kind of a perspective thing. They always kind of drilled into me, you can always find someone who's got it better off than you, but you can also find someone who's going through something worse. And you definitely see that in the hospital, especially I had high school, I had quite a few big procedures. One that particularly stood out was I had this big airway surgery. Basically what they had to do was, doctors, I had an open stoma in my neck pretty much since I'd been born. And that was because my airway was so small. I kind of mentioned that earlier, but my airway was very small, and I had to have some surgeries before where they were like okay with getting it closed up. So that turned out to be a bigger process than I thought, because my thought process, and my parents too, we kind of had it, I think, in our heads that this would be something kind of simple, like, okay, it's a hole in the neck, you just go in and stitch it, you should be good to go. Turns out that wasn't the case. Of course, it turned out to be something a lot more complicated, and pretty much airway reconstruction. So that was definitely a bit of a shock. But with that procedure, I had to be on a ventilator for, I don't even know how long. I was kind of in and out of, I guess, consciousness for that week. but yeah, it was very tough. I was on a vent for yeah, quite a long period of time. Um, but kind of on that floor, and in the ICU unit, you kind of see, there was something, commotions that happened where doctors had to run and you know pretty much help out their
That's
patient.
incredible, man.
Pretty,
That is
but
incredible.
point being, it definitely kind of put me, I don't know, not put me in my place. Obviously what I was going through was difficult, but it definitely gave you perspective.
It
It
humbled
was
you.
like,
It humbled
yeah,
you.
pretty much, yeah,
Yeah. That was that. I mean, there's no way it can't. You know what I mean? That is just
right,
impressive.
right, it,
Um,
yeah,
and you've done, and we'll get to it later, but so the audience knows he's done so much to give back and help. He's
yeah,
went on TED Talks and help with spreading awareness about I don't want to butcher the name
or yeah,
Golden Heart syndrome,
yep,
and
yeah,
we'll talk more about that later. But so you're seeing all this go on,
mhm,
and you're down on your luck for real. And
sure,
so did
yeah, yeah, good stuff,
so
yeah.
what when does music come into your life and how does it come into your life?
Yeah, pretty much in between my eighth grade and freshman year of high school, our family moved from Michigan to Illinois, and that was when and that was going into my freshman year of high school. So good spot to be, transition point in life. You know what I mean? To move,
Yeah.
but of course that was a big challenge. Leaving everything that I knew behind. Definitely that kind of thing with moving. So music, I just kind of started to lean a little bit more into. I kind of started to listen to a little bit more music in like eighth grade, um, um, and then just kind of freshman year, I just kind of started to listen a little bit more to like rock music. Like you have a ZZ Top shirt on, I started, remember hearing Lagrange for the first time and going, ooh, and again, it was the guitar riff. It was like that sounds pretty cool. Like that's a great riff, an iconic riff. Even like before it's like you knew
Yeah.
the riff. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, like okay, this is where that came from.
It's
So
crazy
that
too
was
because yeah, it's
yeah,
echoed through from blues. That's the great thing
sure.
about
Yeah.
rock too is like they're
Mhm.
always honoring the legends of the past. Like I loved
Yeah.
it. Um I've seen recently that you did like a whole deal where you were honoring Eddie and you were honoring Ace.
Yeah.
It was really
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, that
Um,
was fun. It was just kind of like a personal like tribute. It was like, the week that, the anniversary of his passing. Like, let's just do a I'm like, I couldn't decide on one Van Halen song that I wanted to play. So I'm like, let's do a week's worth. And it was a little bit of a challenge in some spots, but it was fun
oh man,
to
yeah.
to do some
Oh,
of
the
those
one
tunes.
I know you have to like tune down half a step and all that just to
Yeah.
even get in the right
Yep.
zone to even play the song.
Yeah.
Is it Unchained, I believe? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you nailed it. And I was like, this is cool. So you're starting to get inspired. At what time do you really start picking up a guitar?
That was at the end of freshman year. So, I've been listening to music kind of that whole year up until that point. It just boiled over more or less into, you know what? Hearing LaGrange, hearing Back in Black, some of this stuff. It was like, it was kind of like it was all about the guitar. It was like, ooh, like that just sounds so cool. So it's just kind of out of curiosity. I just said to my dad when I like, yeah, I think it'd be fun to learn how to play guitar. And he's like, well, I have one. So when he played when he was in high school, and he, thank God, had still kept it around. When we had moved.
Oh, what was it?
Uh, I can't really reach it. It's over here in the corner, but it's a Fender Music Master. It's basically like a black Strat, but with just the neck pickup. Yeah,
The workhouse guitar, man. It's a
yeah.
great learning experience.
Mhm.
So, how did that change your life? Because like I imagine that you had to feel like I don't know. I just remember around the same era of time in my life that I picked up and really started playing guitar.
Definitely when I picked it up, it was just like I think you could kind of like I think like range was one of the first riffs I learned, and it was like you could just kind of like you know just kind of play it on the A string and just kind of hit the third and fifth fret,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
like shoot your way through it a bit. But it's like oh that it sounds like that riff, and it was just like oh this is so cool, and it's like then I heard like Angus was kind of the gateway drug. It was like, whoa, like I really like what he's doing. I want to do that. But I don't know how I can do that, so I'm just gonna try and do Malcolm stuff for right now. That was
So
kind of
is
yeah.
there like a concert or anything that you went to that maybe was inspirational, maybe a concert when you were younger or
I
anything like
yeah,
that?
it's funny. I don't think I've ever really talked about this before, but I remember right after I picked up the guitar and just started playing, it was like over the summer, our family went. There's a beautiful, I haven't been there in years, but there's this beautiful kind of outdoor. I guess I don't know if it's like an amphitheater. It's a small kind of amphitheater where you can either sit inside or there's like a big lawn area outside. Um, I don't know for anyone listening, Ravinia in the Chicago area, it's a beautiful place. But I remember we saw definitely not the style that I ended up doing, but it was right after I picked up the guitar, so it was kind of cool. It was Bare Naked Ladies. I do remember that, and then I remember not too long after that we saw the Steve Miller Band there, and that was kind of like my first time seeing a band play like as a aspiring guitar player and kind of paying attention to that. So that was like those first shows that I was kind of like paying attention to and looking and going, you know what I mean? So that
Yeah,
definitely,
yeah, yeah. Steve
yeah,
Miller Band is a cool one too because they got
yeah.
just some vibes coming from them.
Yeah, I
Um,
love like Jet Airliner. Like just
yeah.
great song, great melody, and the guitar tone is fantastic too on that Strat. Yeah.
Oh man, yeah.
Mhm.
So you see the shows, and then when does it start coming together that you really want to be in a band? Did you know right away when you seen the shows or when you picked up the guitar, or was it just like that? This is really, I really want to do this now.
Well, you're always kind of trying to push yourself to the next level, and a lot of that too, just kind of like live playing in general is such a great live in general. It's so interesting because that's like to me that's the whole point of all of it. It's like you kind of get out there, and it's not like look what I can do, but it's like you get out there and you can just kind of do your thing. There's such this kind of spontaneous thing that happens when you play live that just kind of happens. So it's kind of fun because yeah, it's like it could fall off the wagon at any second, and then when you do, how do you recover and how do you kind of get back in the zone? And it's like
So
when you do
you,
get in the zone and it
yeah.
happens, it's like that's the magic, right? That's what I live for, Yeah,
Oh
but I
yeah.
don't know, but I don't quite know when I like got that bug because it was like for the first year I started playing at home and I just kind of started learning like whatever riffs, your Smoke on the Water and definitely like AC/DC tunes and all of that. But then it was a School of Rock opened up close by, like just like not even like pretty much like 5 minutes from the house we were at, and it was perfect. That was my first introduction to playing with people. It was like they had like a camp there, like a week long camp. And I remember the first songs that we played together was we did Back in Black, we did Living After Midnight, and I think We Will Rock You. So yeah, that was fun.
Nice.
Yeah. So that was my
That's
first time
super
playing with the
cool.
band, and I'm like, oh, this is pretty cool.
So dive a little bit deeper. Are you from Chicago?
Well, I'm from Detroit. I grew up in the Detroit area for like the first 15 years, but then yeah, moved between eighth grade and freshman year of high school. Yeah.
Okay. And so the School of Rock was in Chicago though,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
and so dive into more of your Chicago roots and where you kind of planted your feet there.
Yeah, well, it was cool. When I picked up the guitar, it was all about the rock stuff, like your AC/DC, and then eventually it was like Guns N' Roses, Led Zeppelin, all of that.
Love Led
Um,
Zeppelin.
yeah, yeah. But the main thing is it's like as you go along, you kind of learn and understand more like, oh, like it's almost like you start doing this backwards journey where it's like, okay, I know I love Angus, but where was he getting this stuff from? And it's like,
Right.
okay,
Who inspired him? Yes,
right,
yes.
yeah, yeah. And this was years later. Well, not years, but it's definitely quite a bit of time later where
Yeah.
it's kind of like you're going, oh, where did he get this from? And you're like, oh, he was listening to Chuck Berry. It was his hero for sure. Um, the Stones, all the 60s stuff that he talked about in an interview. Him and Malcolm saw the Yardbirds in Australia with Jimmy Page, which was kind of rare. So that was kind of cool that he talked about that. But for sure, like all the '60s stuff, you kind of get into that with the Beatles and Stones and the Who. For me,
Yeah.
like John Mayall, like Clapton era, Clapton era, like John Mayall and the Blues Breakers and Cream, phenomenal stuff. And it's like, oh, they're like, oh, this is the blues. This is where they get it from.
Dude, that's awesome. So yeah, I'm a sucker for all that too, like rock heritage, man. And
Yeah,
that's the whole point of it is everybody's got to like pass a torch. Like this
yeah.
torch was kind of passed to them from these blues guys, and then we carried it here, and then now we keep going with it. And
Well,
that's what's beautiful about it.
something that was pretty cool. You mentioned, being in Chicago. It's like you find out about, the blues roots, are so huge here. Um, I mean, it's like, Buddy Guy's Legends. I've been there a couple times and played on stage there, and it's just like, what a cool venue. And actually, probably, I in 2020, I got to play with some. He was a really great blues singer, guitar player. His name is Lindsey Alexander. And actually, I have this red hollow body that pops up in videos sometimes. That was his guitar. But I sit in with him sometimes, and he was awesome. He was a really really great guitar player. Um, but yeah, I mean, it was funny. Like, and it was interesting too because like I was definitely like a rock guitar player that was playing the blues with all these like blues cats, and Lindsay would always go, "You're playing too fast. Slow it down." You know.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
And when you have that environment, if you can get in that environment, if you're listening to this and like you get in that environment where you have all these musicians pushing each other,
Yeah.
telling each other to back off and slow down, telling each other,
Yeah.
"Hey, pick it up over there. You were wide open and you were just sitting there like."
Yeah.
But no, I mean, yeah, and it builds because like I mean. I've produced music that's like all one thing by myself,
Yeah.
guitar, drums, bass, all that. But
Yep.
and then when you take that very music and you bring it to a band that you have ready to play it,
Hmm.
and then they put their little twist
Yeah.
on it, it's like, man, we should just go back in the studio because when there's more minds on something, the flower grows, man. It takes many petals to make a great sound.
Yeah.
So let's kind of and we could bounce around a little bit, but
Yeah.
let's talk about that. I mean, so you put together Pete's Diary or
I had met the drummer that that played with originally through School of Rock, and then the singer and bass player Mac. Well, Mac's a great guitar player, but he was kind enough to play bass, kind of that classic story role. That's very kind of him to do. But he but anyway, we'd all kind of met and kind of formed together. And yeah, for like uh, let's see, the first kind of show that we did, I remember, was in like the summer of 21. And then 22, we did an EP that had come out. But probably the biggest thing we did was we had an album come out last year, last summer, called Keep On Rockin'. And that was a really fun record to do. Yeah.
how was it making that record and being in
Yeah.
studio? Do you
Mhm.
like being in studio or would you rather be on stage? I feel like that's obviously a stage
Yeah.
one with you, but
For
what do
sure.
you like
Yeah.
about the studio?
No, it was awesome. Making that record was so much fun because a friend of mine, because it was like, okay, yeah, we want to do an album, but we, wanted to find a producer. And a friend of mine um, hooked us up with Keith Nelson from Buck Cherry. Or he was the co-founding member and, kind of the original guitar player in the band.
Okay.
Lit up, crazy bitch, all of that. Um, but it was awesome because we went out and Mac and I went out and we wrote and did the demos with them, and it was a ton of fun. It was like a rock and roll boot camp kind of. It was great, I had like riffs and kind of jam ideas that three of us had done, and we sit down with Keith, and Keith and I really kind of did the instrumentation, and Mac kind of worked on the lyrics and stuff. But it was fun. I really enjoyed that process and all of that. We ended up doing 2 trips for the writing and the demoing, and then kind of at the end of 2023, the three of us, we came back and did the record, and it was a really fun. I enjoyed kind of the process of it, because we started with the live tracking with the drums and I think most of the bass, and then Keith is a killer guitar player and has tons of great vintage golden era kind of gear. So it was great. I remember pulling up to the studio, and it was just the two of us, and Keith's like, all right. He's like, I got, this Marshall JMP pulled out, and some really fun stuff. And I'm like, oh, this is gonna be a blast. And it was a ton of fun. And he was it was great too, having not had a ton of studio experience, he was a great coach and mentor as well, doing takes and hey, check out what you're doing here, kind of ease back a little bit, play a little bit more behind the beat kind of thing. Solos, it was pretty fun to do too.
That is awesome, man.
It was great. It was the recording process was fun. Well, it was a great time.
Hey everybody, we're gonna head off real quick into a break, and we thank you all for watching. We got Pete Dankelson on, and we'll be right back. Thank you for watching.
A glimpse behind the scene, the green room.
If you're a guitar player and you're looking for a great new acoustic guitar or custom guitar, check out Zager Guitars. They support us here at Soundwave, but not only that, they make excellent guitars. Check out ZagerGuitars.com. What's up, rock fans? Have I got something for you, man? Methylene Blue. This stuff is incredible. And it's not just about the energy, but how well it does for your body. It gets things past the blood-brain barrier, all this stuff, but it's going to give you primal energy. I've talked to 3 different artists lately, and they said how they've been using Methylene Blue while they're on tour, and how it's helping them more than a Red Bull or some pick-me-up, drag-me-down stuff, but this stuff gives you the best energy. Don't take it if you're on SSRIs or antidepressants or any of that stuff. Consult your doctor before taking it and do your own research. But I am telling you that I have experienced some healthy energy with Methylene Blue. I've heard of people that take it and they use it while they're on tour, and it does wonders for them. It's one of the first drugs that ever came out, and luckily we got a sponsor for it, and we're bringing it to our readers and our viewers. So go to our website and click on the Methylene Blue link and take it there. Help us, and we love helping you. So it's like a win for everybody. We would not be doing any of this without our friends at DistroKid. If you are an artist or a new musician trying to get your music out there on all the big platforms like Spotify and iHeartRadio, go check out DistroKid. And while you're at it, use our code and get 20% off. Yes, 20% off your membership fees. Check out DistroKid and support Soundwave. Thank you.
The green room, a dive into the minds of the artist.
Everybody, and we're back. Thank you so much for watching The Green Room, the show giving you the glimpse behind the scenes. And we're talking here with Pete Dankelson, and we went through some of it, but we were talking real quick about, the start of his band and how it put together. But really, I don't think we're talking so much about the start of the band, because it did, how he said, kind of fell apart in the end. But now, how did really working with other people, and you've been working with other people through the School of Rock and all of that, and you started to build this band. Now, where are you at now, and what do you feel like, you've put together this album in the studio. Where does it go next? And what are you craving from? Are you wanting a heavier bass player? Are you wanting a drummer that plays faster or slower or has more soul? Where are you going next with Pete?
Yeah, that's a good question. Well, I'm actually going to be heading to Nashville for a month in February. So, if anyone listening to this is in the Nashville area, I'll be there in February. So, and that'll just be I mean, I know a lot of people out there. It'll be good to just kind of like reconnect with them, but just kind of like, just kind of see what happens. And I would like to reform. I've been working on singing. It's a challenge, but it's one of those things where it's like I have things I do want to say and talk about. So it's kind of like, I'm pushing myself and trying to do that.
Right.
But yeah, it's like,
Well, come around to
yeah,
that. Let's talk
yeah.
about that. Are you still able to play like Pete when you're singing? And how did you get there?
I've really, it's definitely a work in progress right now, but mainly, I've been really trying to work on the voice, and then kind of bring the guitar into it. I'm just kind of like the guitar I'm very confident with. I know, my way around it and what I can do. The voice is kind of a different story. So it's kind of like I'm trying to figure out the voice. And it's like once I'm comfortable with that and not killing myself, I'm like, I'm like, okay, then we can bring the guitar into the mix and then try and, blend the two to, get the two to coexist together.
That's awesome though. And I mean, if you got a band to back you up, you'll be able to do that and then still volume up and show.
Yeah.
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 Um, so is anybody teaching you how to sing or are you self-taught on that as well?
I have been taking vocal lessons, from a coach online, and I have been doing like stuff online, just kind of self-discovery. Um, so yeah, it's a work in progress. I'm having like little breakthroughs. Um, but yeah, so yeah, it's like main thing I would like to try and do is do like try and get together like a 45-minute set or something, just to kind of like, well, I don't know, to some that might be kind of big, but I want to do like a 45-minute set just to kind of get familiar and comfortable in the live setting with singing and playing and, kind of fronting a band because, I
Right. I
did
believe
that a
you got
little.
a lot of charisma though. I've seen your last stuff and you were out there on stage. Who were you? You were doing a collaboration with somebody. Who were you doing a collaboration with
Just
most recently?
recently I jammed with Orianti. Uh,
Yes, that's who it was.
okay. Yeah. That was a lot of fun. So yeah,
But
yeah, it's
yeah, I
one.
see you building the charisma
Mhm.
and everything, and that is what it takes too to front a band. It's
For
not
sure.
just being
Yeah.
a good singer or a good player, but actually just engagement with the crowd,
Yeah. Yeah.
and you have that muscle.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Well, it's, just the more you play live, the better you get at working a crowd. And also, it's like, my hero's Angus Young. He's one of the best entertainers. A great guitar. In my opinion, he's my hero. To me,
excellent
he's the
guitar,
best. But
yeah.
I mean, just his entertainment. He's so entertaining. He's so much fun to watch. You never know what he's going to do. It's kind of like what's going to happen here.
So let's switch directions up a little bit, and I want to talk about the book you wrote
Mhm.
and put out, How
Yeah,
I Learned to Rock My Life.
how that kind of originally came about. That was my mom's passion project. And that's actually kind of really rewinding here. Pete's Diary originally started as a journal that my mom kept when I was in the NICU after I was born. Because after I was born, there was so much medical stuff going on. Um, what mom did, I was born in 2000, so like, social media really wasn't a thing yet. So what mom would do was to keep family members updated. She would send these daily journal entries basically out, and she kind of wrote them in my voice. I think it was like therapeutic for her for sure, because obviously a stressful time
Yeah,
as a
yeah.
parent. But basically, yeah, she would just kind of do these journal entries of what was going on with me for that day. Like, okay, this is the specialist that I saw today. Maybe like a little milestone that I had today that was great, or anything like that. And I think the whole journal is online on the website. I haven't looked in a while, but I'm pretty positive it's on there. If people do want to read that and check it out. Actually, if you want to follow along, I think the entry goes from when I was born, October 7th, then I think it goes to like January, but I haven't read it in a while, but I'm pretty positive it's on there if people do want to read it and
Yeah.
check it But
That's so cool.
that's how it originally started. That was the original Pete's Diary. And then it got brought back when I started to do speaking because I would spoke with students about kind of the medical challenges that I'd been through, but how I didn't let that stop me. How I kind of pushed through it, and then like when I picked up the guitar, the music kind of came into it. Um, so it kind of got blended together with the music and the motivation. But also, it was interesting too because when COVID hit in 2020, uh, I originally just started posting on the Pete's Diary pages, just like guitar covers, because obviously we were all stuck at home and there was nothing else to do. So I'm like, well, I have all this time on my hands, and I was learning, different songs and just kind of putting them out there. And just over time, it just exploded. I mean, couple, 100,000 followers, or it just kept
Yeah.
going at a pretty crazy pace. Um, so Pete's Diary then kind of became that. So it's kind of like, whoa, we never, Mom and I would have never expected it, but that's kind of how, what it started as and kind of what it's grown into. It's pretty interesting. And then it became a band. Who would have thought?
How how has like the social media impacted everything? So you have almost 1 million followers now. How has that changed the game for you, and how do you keep your online presence changing?
Well, I think probably one of the coolest things about social media is, and one, it's been great getting to interact and in some cases like meet, people that do enjoy what I do. Like it mostly happens at like concerts or guitar stores or something like that. It's fun to like put faces to names or have that real life interaction with people. It's really cool. But definitely a really kind of cool thing is I have gotten to meet and jam with some people that I look up to. Like on the Keep on Rockin' album, something really cool that happened is Tracy Guns from LA Guns has become a really good friend, great mentor.
Wow.
We had met a couple of years ago for the first time. He'd followed on social media just by chance quite a few years ago, but it was great to like meet him in person and we've become really good friends. And I've jammed. I mean, all the LA Guns guys are fantastic. They're a great band. I've seen them live like a dozen times now, and they kill it every time. But they're really just like the nicest people. And they've been very generous with the stage too. I've gotten to jam, rip, and tear with them quite a few times, and that's always been a good time when they've had me up. But something really cool that happened was when we were recording the Keep on Rockin' album, our producer Keith, um, he kept talking to me. He's like, well, hey, have you thought of anybody, or any people that you would like to have come in and maybe guest on the record? That could be something really fun to do. I'm like, yeah, that would be really cool. We were recording the album out in LA because that's where Keith works. And I'm like, you know what? I'm like, I know Tracy is off tour right now and he's kind of hanging around. I'm like, maybe he'd want to come by. So I shot him a text. And I'm like, would you be down? Or, I talked with Keith about it. He's like, yeah, that'd be great. See if you would want to come down. And yeah, so I messaged Tracy and pretty much immediately he's like, when and where? He's like, yeah, I'd love to. Like, let's do it.
That's
Like very
awesome.
enthusiastic. Yeah, it was very enthusiastic about it. So I'm like, oh, that's fantastic. I'm like, could you come down to the studio, and jam it, drop a solo on a track? He's like, yeah. He's like, yeah, just tell me when and where. So the next day he comes down to the studio and drops a solo on a song called All Hell Breaks Loose. And it was awesome. He just kind of showed up the changes and then he, did
And
his thing.
that's on
Great.
Keep On Rockin'.
Yeah, it's on the album. Yep.
That's
Or
really
yeah,
cool.
it's on the Keep on Rockin' album, but the song is All Hell Breaks Loose.
That's really cool.
Yeah. Yeah, it was
Man.
awesome. It was a lot of fun.
Man, that's so cool. And yeah, did you ever imagine when you were first listening to your first ZZ Top song that inspired you that you would one day be playing with like LA Guns and people like that? You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I couldn't have imagined it. It's one of those things. It's just like, wow, like this is pretty cool. You're grateful and you do have gratitude for that. But it's really fun too because it's like when you do have an opportunity, and I've had a lot of opportunities to guest with like from LA Guns to Orianthi and Just a couple months ago, I had the chance to. The Struts invited me up on
Yeah, I
stage to
seen that. I
with them.
seen that
Yeah,
too. That was really cool. Go
that
on and
was
talk about that.
insane.
How was that?
Yeah, yeah. No, that was really cool. It was just kind of a couple days before they were going to be in Chicago. Luke had messaged me. He's like, dude, he's like, would you want to come on up and jam with us at the show, a couple of nights? I was like, yeah, sure. He's like, great. He's like, we're doing, kind of live killers version of We Will Rock You, Queen. He's like, we're kind of doing the live killers version. I'm like, oh, sweet. But I'd actually went on YouTube and saw, a couple of nights before how they've been playing it. So I kind of used that as the reference, how they were jamming it. I'm like, okay, I think I'll be good. But it was great. I mean, went there and, sound checked and everything. And it's like, okay, yeah, this should be a lot of fun. Let's do it.
That's when your raw human ability really comes into show and when you
Mhm.
can really express yourself and everything. It's such a
Yeah.
freedom, man. It's such a freedom.
Yeah.
It ties into everything that life is about and
Mhm.
like freedom. Yeah.
Well,
So
it definitely like, yeah, improvising is just kind of like, it's just you never know how it's going to go, and you learn from people that are good at that as well, like Slash, Gary Moore is a big one as well. Stevie Ray Vaughan. A lot of these guys kind of flew by the seat of their pants, um, and you just kind of take inspiration from that and try and incorporate it and practice a lot too. It's definitely a lot of that too.
how often do you practice? And
Oh,
how
every
often
day.
would you like an hour a day keeps the
Yeah, yeah.
keeps the
No,
skills?
well, it's practicing, but it's kind of like uh, you could try and branch out and try something a little bit different too. Like a big one for me recently, a huge accomplishment was a Painkiller by Judas Priest. I learned that solo, and that was very different from anything I'd done before because that's like sweep picking, and there's some
Yeah.
really not so fun stretches in that song.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So that was, and I mean, that just came from, I've seen Priest a couple of times now, and it's just like that solo is just insane. I mean, it's technical, but it's just a great guitar solo. And it was like, you know what? After, it was like one time after a show, I'm just like, I'm gonna learn Painkiller. It's just like that solo is just so amazing. It was just like, I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna do it. And it was like, opens up with this, crazy sweet picking thing, and I'm like, all right. It's just I spent a couple of days woodshedding it, and and just weeks after just hammered it out.
How important is it for you to deliver that into your music that you're creating like an art?
I don't really like, you know, look at like technical stuff. It's just kind of like if it sounds good and if it fits the part in the right way. Because I mean, like, if you listen to the Keep on Rockin' record, it's kind of like bluesy riffs. There are some like funky little things in there, like the main riff. It's probably my favorite song on the record. What If I Don't? It's a funny, kind of a funny little riff. Um, but it worked. Like, it turned out to be a really cool song. And the chorus is super catchy too. That solo, was kind of improvised as well. So that was very fun. So yeah.
Awesome, man. Yeah. So we're gonna head out to another break, man, and we thank you everybody for watching the Green Room. We got Pete on, Pete Dankelson. Y'all go look him up, support him, support his record. We're gonna jump into more stuff when we come back. We're gonna talk about legacy building and how you're gonna go forward, but not just that. Every kind of re-gloss over everything you've done and talk more about your full album and maybe some of your favorite songs off that. Thank you everybody
Yeah.
for watching the Green Room, and thank you, Pete. We'll be right back.
A glimpse behind the scene. The Green Room.
What's up, rock fans? Have I got something for you, man? Methylene Blue. This stuff is incredible. And it's not just about the energy, but how well it does for your body. It gets things past the blood-brain barrier, all this stuff, but it's going to give you primal energy. I've talked to like 3 different artists lately, and they said how they've been using Methylene Blue while they're on tour, and how it's helping them more than a Red Bull or some pick me up, drag me down stuff. But this stuff gives you the best energy. Don't take it if you're on SSRIs or antidepressants or any of that stuff. Consult your doctor before taking it and do your own research. But I am telling you that I have experienced some healthy energy with methylene blue. I've heard of people that take it and they use it while they're on tour, and it does wonders for them. It's one of the first drugs that ever came out, and luckily we got a sponsor for it, and we're bringing it to our readers and our viewers. So go to our website and click on the methylene blue link and take it there. Help us, and we love helping you. So it's like a win for everybody. We would not be doing any of this without our friends at DistroKid. If you are an artist or a new musician trying to get your music out there on all the big platforms like Spotify and iHeartRadio, go check out DistroKid. And while you're at it, use our code and get 20% off. Yes, 20% off your membership fees. Check out DistroKid and support Soundwave. Thank you. If you're a guitar player and you're looking for a great new acoustic guitar or custom guitar, check out Zager Guitars. They support us here at Soundwave, but not only that, they make excellent guitars. Check out ZagerGuitars.com.
A glimpse behind the scene. The Green Room.
All right, everybody, welcome back to The Green Room, the show that gives you the dive into the minds of the artist. We got Pete Dankelson on, and we've been talking about everything from his come up and from his overcome of his childhood to now. And I want to dive into your first full-length album, and then I want to kind of dive into where your mind's at going forward and how we're going to build this out.
Yeah, it was just, a great experience. Like I said, like working with Keith Nelson was so much fun. Just, I mean, it was a good like fit as well because, Keith and I are kind of like cut from the same cloth with like influences. Like I remember, I mean, it was fun. Like it was, it's definitely very, we worked really hard. But I remember like the only time we really got off track, which is kind of funny, was Keith Mack and I, when we were doing demos at one point, we got a little sidetracked because we were geeking out about Aerosmith. That was like the one time I could recall that we kind of like had a little bit of fun.
How does that album differ from all the EP All Screwed Up? And like where
Yeah,
did I guess really what I'm trying to get at is like where did you take
yeah.
your great stride, and what do you think that you put into that album that we might see in the next one, and
Mhm.
what might we see in the next one that we haven't seen yet?
Yeah. Well, definitely the album was a huge step up from the EP for sure. To me, the EP was just kind of like, this is the start. It was just kind of like the three of us just kind of fooling around and just kind of, having some fun and doing this thing. And then it was like, keep on rocking. It was like, it was like, okay, this is how you really like, like it was definitely a big step up with the songwriting for sure and production too.
Right.
Yeah, I think everything went up a notch for sure in a very professional way, which was, needed and worked out really well. And that was a lot of fun. Yeah, I mean, just that whole record really was a really good time to do. But obviously, going forward, it's going to be different now because it's everything kind of is gone or kind of fell apart. But the songs are still there. So yeah, but going forward, it's kind of like I'm working on it, but it's like if I'm going to do the singing thing, it's like could really kind of lead into I think I'm going to try and lead into more personal stories as well, from medical and maybe some other stuff as well. So it's kind of like um,
Right, yeah. The stories of overcoming. Absolutely. Do you think it's going to be blues influenced, or do you like, are you going to go bare bones, or are you going to try to do a heavy production again?
Um, and it'll definitely be like, kind of a similar sound, I think, I mean, it's kind of hard to know, but, you know, feels like some of the stuff I'm writing instrumentally, some of it's like open G. I've been listening to a lot of Black Crows. Who knows if some of this could, make it there, but that's where my head's at musically right now that I love. But I don't think it would have like keyboard kind of stuff. It would still be like a real raw,
Yeah,
it's usually
yeah.
stripped back, like just guitar, bass, drums kind of thing. A real kind of raw hard rock sound. But yeah, I'd love to kind of have that kind of Crows swagger a bit in there. I love Chris Robinson's vocals too. I can't sing like Chris, but I love like his style phrasing and
Right,
all.
right. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
great.
So uh, I know you have a lot of classical influences. Do you ever venture off into some of the new acts? And what are some that you might like?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot. There's so many great new up and coming bands. Well, actually, I saw that you had talked with Leilani Kilmer. Is that right?
Yeah, yes,
Yeah,
sir.
yeah, yeah. And she just dropped a new record a few weeks ago, like just very, very recently. That was very good. And actually, I saw her play. We both played a benefit show here in Chicago for a friend of ours, uh,
Wow, nice.
a podcaster. We I guess both had been on his podcast. But yeah, it was fun to see her play live. She's awesome. Yeah, she's really good, and the new record's great too. So yeah, Leilani's got that kind of bluesy sound as well.
So Dirty Honey,
Mhm.
um, they're incredible. Have you got to see them live or?
I had a great, like, kind of, I guess, quick story, but they were actually opening for the Struts when I went and jammed with them. So it was fun to kind of catch up with those guys again and say hello. But they actually, geez, I saw them play at their first, like, club headlining tour. So it's just like this tiny place, and obviously they've been doing very well. But it was great. Quite a few years ago, they pulled me up on stage like in the moment. It was like they sent a note over and like, "Hey, do you know how to play Highway to Hell?" Like they'd seen the stuff online before and knew I could play. But just like during the show, they slipped a note and it's like, "You know how to play Highway to Hell?" And I'm like, "Yeah," give thumbs
Get
up,
over here.
and they brought me up.
Yeah,
And it was just totally in the moment. It's on YouTube. If you look at the YouTube video, Justin, their bass player, I don't think he really knew that this was happening. He's just kind of like, "What's going on? Why is this guy up here?" I think
that's
it was like,
awesome.
Mark and John, but I'm not 100% sure. But it was fun. It was totally in the moment. They took a chance, a gamble, and hopefully I didn't blow it. They seem to be excited. So
Man, yeah, dude, them guys rock.
mhm.
We've followed them and we follow them all, man.
Yeah,
Um,
they're such a great band. Yeah.
so when it comes to gear, I see this Gibson. Is that a Gibson flag? I want that.
Oh
That's
yeah.
so cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so when it comes to gear,
Mhm.
um, what are you using? What do you want to use? What do you like? What do you take in studio? What do you take on the road? Give us
Mhm.
the whole breakdown. What's Pete's rig like?
Yeah, well, the studio was interesting because that was Keith's gear. I just kind of brought an SG and a hollow body that I like. So it's just kind of like that was all I brought. And then I also brought a Marshall Governor for more gain for some solos and stuff. So that's what I used on the album. But like, Keith had a Marshall JMP that I was absolutely in love with. That amp was great. You could really hear it on the intro to the song Keep On Rockin'. The guitar's just doing one thing on its own in the intro. You could really kind of hear the sound of that amp there. It was killer. Um, but what I'm using here at home, there's a ton of guitars. My favorite right now is the 68 SG. That's the Batwing guard with the vibrola. That's an awesome guitar. And then I have it's the Marshall Studio Series, the 20-watt amps. And I have a bit of a mix and match off to the side. It's the Studio Vintage head, but the cabinets, the JTM, I have both amps, and the JTM I think has Celestian greenbacks. It's stock, whatever's on the
Man.
website. People want to look it up, but I'm like, oh, like I AP the two cabs, and I'm like, oh yeah, this is I like the sound of it better, so I kind of have that going on. And then for pedals, I don't really use much, but a company Soulfire Guitars, they sent me a pedal like a drive called the Dirty Martini, and it's basically like a transparent kind of overdrive, or at least that's how I've been using it. And it's awesome. It just literally takes what's there with the amp and pushes it in a supernatural way. I love it. It's so that's kind of been the setup with that. It's yeah.
You don't really use, you're just raw to the bone, no pedals.
Eh,
Have you thought about getting a wah?
yeah, I have one and I use it. I use it sometimes, but yeah, for the most part, it's pretty straightforward.
What kind of
Yeah,
wah do you have? Just like the,
I have. It's the Crybaby Classic. I'm pretty sure.
okay.
Yeah, I haven't looked
Yeah.
at what model, but yeah, it's a Crybaby. I'm pretty sure it's the Classic.
Yeah, yeah. Those are nice though. I
Yeah.
have one that's the custom one, and you
Mhm.
can like tune in the range on it. It's pretty cool. But
With
they've been making some cool
the
wahs
dial on the
lately.
side.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Okay.
I like
Yep.
fooling with that. But
Mhm.
but yeah, I run pretty raw as well. I
Yep.
I do like the blues distortion pedal is
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah. Yep.
Yeah, yeah. But man, yeah, and you say one of your biggest inspirations is Angus,
Hmm.
and that's raw to the bones right there. He just
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's rig is still like that. It hasn't changed in 50 years.
yeah, yeah. No need to. I mean, he's an icon. If he
Yeah, I
changed it,
mean,
we'd all start complaining.
I know I would. I'd be like,
I would too.
what
Yeah,
are you doing
what
up there with the,
happened? It
yeah,
don't sound the same.
what are you doing up
What do you
there with
mean
the
you don't have
Telecaster?
tubes?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, what when you're making a song
Mhm.
and do you listen for certain tones like, oh, a Strat would sound good here, or oh, a Telly would sound good here, or I definitely want double humbuckers on this. Do you kind of layer your guitars in there in studio when you're doing that, take multiple takes, or is it just raw to the bones in studio?
Um, I've only been in the studio twice, but for the two, projects with the EP and the album, it was the EP. The guitar stuff was double tracked. I know that for sure, and that was with my SG Junior for like I think there were some other things thrown around through that. But the EP was double tracked, but the Keep on Rockin' album was pretty raw. It was just two guitar tracks and well, not just two guitar tracks, but it's the sound of the two guitars and
Yeah,
maybe
yeah.
little ear candy bits a little bit like in a chorus or something. Yeah.
That is awesome. So, do you have any merchandise or anything like that that people can get? How are you supporting everything that you're doing?
Mhm. Yeah, everything's on petesdiary.com. You know, uh, there's vinyl for the album. There's CDs for all of that as well. Shirts, hats. We have all that stuff, and that's all on petesdiary.com. So it's all there.
It's a message to your fans, and then tell everybody where to follow you. We'll kind of close this out. But but it's been awesome talking to you, man.
Yeah, no, again, thank you for having me on. No, this was a lot of fun. But
And
no,
really give him a message because I mean, and I gotta give him a message. This man is like really, I mean, it was a dream to one day listen to music.
mhm.
And now he's like opening for the Struts
Yeah.
and doing all this stuff that like never could have fathomed to do. And the power of music is something that will raise all ships. And
Yeah.
everybody, when your heart is in a peaceful spot, we all work together, man. And
Mhm.
I'm so glad that music has been able to help you,
Mhm.
and that's something excellent. But yeah, give your fans a message, give our listeners a message, and tell them where to follow you and all that.
Yeah, well, I guess to any musicians or music lovers in general, I guess to guitar players, just keep on playing. Try to push yourself. Um, that always helps too. Um, Try Painkiller. That'll humble you really quick. But no, I mean, I guess just kind of in short, keep on rocking. Just kind of keep you got to keep a positive attitude. You got to, you know, there's a song on the first song on the Keep on Rockin' album, the song called "Live It Up," and I think that kind of summarizes everything perfectly. Hold your head up high. Um, be proud of who you are. And yeah, and I guess if people are listening, did you want to follow me anywhere? It's Pete's Diary on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and then the website's petesdiary.com. And all that information's there too.
Man, I thank you for coming on, and we thank everybody for watching The Green Room. We could not be doing this without everybody, so this is our one time to plug and to say go to the Soundwave Music Media store, get you some merchandise, go to the Pete's Diary store, get you some merchandise, support this. This is how rock music grows. This is how we all get bigger. Like I said, raising tides raise all ships, and we need to raise the tides, so let's do it. Thank you for watching The Green Room, and we'll see you next time.
The Green Room, a dive into the minds of the artist.
What's up, rock fans? Have I got something for you, man? Methylene Blue. This stuff is incredible. And it's not just about the energy, but how well it does for your body. It gets things past the blood-brain barrier, all this stuff, but it's going to give you primal energy. I've talked to like 3 different artists lately, and they said how they've been using methylene blue while they're on tour, and how it's helping them more than a Red Bull or some pick-me-up, drag-me-down stuff. But this stuff gives you the best energy. Don't take it if you're on SSRIs or antidepressants or any of that stuff. Consult your doctor before taking it and do your own research. But I am telling you that I have experienced some healthy energy with methylene blue. I've heard of people that take it and they use it while they're on tour, and it does wonders for them. It's one of the first drugs that ever came out, and luckily we got a sponsor for it, and we're bringing it to our readers and our viewers. So go to our website and click on the methylene blue link and take it there. Help us, and we love helping you. So it's like a win for everybody. We would not be doing any of this without our friends at DistroKid. If you are an artist or a new musician trying to get your music out there on all the big platforms like Spotify and iHeartRadio, go check out DistroKid. And while you're at it, use our code and get 20% off. Yes, 20% off your membership fees. Check out DistroKid and support Soundwave. Thank you. If you're a guitar player and you're looking for a great new acoustic guitar or custom guitar, check out Zager Guitars. They support us here at Soundwave, but not only that, they make excellent guitars. Check out ZagerGuitars.com.